Here we are. Good luck, and may the glass break your way.
I entered a tournament for a VR MOBA called Glassbreakers, Champions of Moss. This tournament happened on January 7th for the final week of its open beta. If you know nothing about this game, the goal, like most MOBAs, is to destroy the enemy towers so you can then destroy their base. Your team consists of 3 characters. You can individually choose which hex to move them to, have them auto-attack enemies, and activate their unique special moves. You want to fight for map control to earn equipment that you can then assign to your units, granting them various benefits, such as increased attack, health, or reducing their move's cooldown. There is also one big objective to fight over, the Sway Stone. Whoever gets the last hit on this stone weakens their opponent's towers, making them easier to destroy. The footage you have been seeing here was from my first match in the tournament. Not a whole lot happened in this one. A lot of newer players entered to just have fun, and honestly, that was the whole reason for this tournament anyway. And now that you understand the game, let me get into the format of this tournament. There were 8 total playable characters in the open beta. Players were asked to construct 3 teams. No character could be used more than twice, and no team could be the exact same. Players would ban one of their opponent's teams, and you would have to win with each of your unbanned teams. These were my teams I made for the tournament. Naji and Reese were my favorite shell to play during the beta, so I made 2 teams utilizing both of them. My first team was what I believed was the best team currently available in the beta. So I basically made this team expecting it to be banned in every set, so I could then continue to play my Naji and Reese teams. If I recall correctly, it was only banned about half the time though. My opponent for the second match was actually someone I practiced with the night before, so we kinda knew how it was gonna play out, but both games went the time and it was actually pretty fun.
A victory as savory as the smell of an old book.
At this point, I am in the semi-finals as it is a very small tournament, but the matches going forward were all very tough. My opponent's team here was very strong early game, so I passively rushed to get equipment and got myself cornered. Most players I fought before this would just grab the other equipment in the center. But this player pushed their team's early tempo well, which really set the tone for the kind of set this would be. We both played pretty well despite some mistakes here and there. With all our towers still up, a fight eventually breaks out over the Sway Stone. With both teams pretty weak, we back off afraid of the Sway Stone becoming a coin flip.
Midway now, time to push through.
This leads us to the halfway point, and I give up a chance at more equipment to prioritize the heavily damaged Sway Stone. Securing it, I run down their tower, but end up taking more damage than I expected. And with an ace on their side, they take my tower in return. After a few back and forths, we near the game going into overtime, since neither side has taken another tower. I make a hard push for the Sway Stone, hoping it gives me the advantage I need to close out this game. While I do secure it, I lose Reese in the process. And, well, I'll just let the clip speak for itself.
Break any glass and the match is yours! Find your glass! Do not let them break it!
This was by far the most intense moment I had over the course of the entire beta.
Wait, congratulations!
Going into game 2, I made immediate adjustments and prevented myself from getting cornered. Playing a more aggressive team this game, I successfully apply pressure in cornering them, followed by a heartbreaking misclick on the body block for the capture point. I do secure the first Sway Stone, but proceed to not get any value out of it besides of denying it from my opponent. Slowly, my lack of practice on this team becomes apparent, and my opponent played against the comp very well. and I'm sure this comp was on a lot of people's radars. I managed to deny one more Sway Stone, but as I was playing from behind at this point, my opponent just had to stall until the next one, which I was not able to steal from them. I did hit this cool combo though. Into the final game, my opponent is playing a squishier team, which I am way more comfortable with. The game starts off similar to the others, but slowly starts to fall out of my favor. Between me missing my combos, and I even fall for the Mojo trap, it's safe to say I was tilted. I just try to clean it up and rely on ye olde faithful, the Sway Stone. While I do manage to secure it, I lose the fight in the process. The biggest blessing here was that my Brel dies before he finishes this horrible cast I did. This allowed me to have the skills up that I needed to make this final push with the Sway Stone benefit. I had no idea what the skill level of this tournament would be, but my opponent quite literally pushed me to my limit here. Going into the finals, my opponent and I both banned each other's Mojo, Chatlift, Brel team, which was funny. We started very passive, each grabbing one of the equipment and backing off. Then the Sway Stone spawned, and we ended up in this really awkward fight. One thing I did want to showcase here is how well my opponent and I micromanaged this fight. Despite the character's fairly simple kits, having to control all three of them creates a lot of these intense situations. In the next fight, I'm a little off with my timings and my opponent scores an ace. Since we are both playing scaling late game comps, this starts to get rough. Despite that, I make a few clean plays that do start to swing it back in my favor. I make a push for the Sway Stone, which ended up sealing my fate. My opponent is playing Barnard, who has the best objective secure in the game. Feeling myself a little bit at this point, I thought I could out-secure him. Having lost the objective, wasting my Chatlift ability on a failed secure, and my whole team eating a Barnard ability, the following ace from my opponent closed this game. For the next game, we ended up playing a literal mirror match. With both of us playing very late game teams, we ended up playing passively through the early game. So I'll just jump forward to when something actually happens. I get greedy here trying to knock out their Naji first, so mine levels up before theirs. Once Naji gets a level 3 ability, he gets a cooldown reset on successful executes. Well, I failed in doing that, and their Naji leveled up instead. I then forgo the Sway Stone to try and get more equipment to clean up later in the game. Instead of pushing with the Sway Stone, they try and deny me equipment, which then does give me a chance to defend, so it ended up not being too bad. I'm able to stall until the next Sway Stone. The fight gets weird and I miss a skill, but it's not actually going that bad as they then miss their execute on Naji. That gives me a chance to heal him and claim an execute of my own. I have no idea how Chatlift died here, and this fight would have been huge for me if he lived. As we are both positioning for the last Sway Stone, I make a fatal mistake setting my Reese to respawn in the front, and they capitalized on my mistake. What sealed the deal here was them being able to heal their unit, preventing my Naji's execute. With my tempo shattered, there just wasn't enough time for me to mount a comeback. But if you saw the thumbnail, you probably knew that. This game is a ton of fun, and as of my making of this video, we have no idea when the official release will be. My reason for making this video was mostly just me wanting to talk about the game more, as I cannot wait to play it again. If you made it this far, thanks a ton. Without a release date, I can't promise more content for this game, but it is definitely something I'm interested in.